Today's guest, we have Cherie Calbom. I am so excited that you are with us today. Cherie is the Juice Lady, known as the Juice Lady. I'm sure most of you have heard of her. And she is also the author of 35 books.
Yes, I've been busy.
That is amazing.
Busy.
Wow.
It's been a lot of work, but it's been good.
That
Reached a
is
lot.
awesome.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Helping all of us heal, and just hearing your story. Your story gives me chills, Cherie, seriously. Um, can you share a bit of your story? Like, how did you become the Juice Lady? Which I love that title, the Juice Lady.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, there's always a reason why we do what we do, right? And I do have a story from sick and helpless, hopeless to thriving. Just what your title is for your summit. And so years ago, I had chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. Um, Terrible case, so bad I couldn't work. I had to move back home, sleep 12 hours a day, get up tired, drag through the day, feel like I had the flu all the time. I was hopeless, miserable, discouraged because I couldn't find any answers. I went from doctor to doctor in conventional medicine and no one knew what to do. And they still pretty much don't know what to do for those conditions other than manage it and try to keep people comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
And I wanted answers and I knew there was an answer. I kept saying, something got me here. And
Mhm.
something's going to get me out of this dark hole I feel like fell in. And so I started going to health food stores and talking with people. And there I did get some answers. And people had ideas like, you should change your diet. I didn't like vegetables and I like junk food and fast food. And I ate sugar. I was a sugaraholic. What a setup for disease. All the setup for all sorts of disease processes with that kind of diet. So I bought my first juicer, went on a 5-day vegetable juice fast because I thought I'm just going to go for it and just do everything I can as fast as I can. Here's the exciting thing. I hope everyone's listening right now, because on day 5, my body expelled a tumor the size of a golf ball with blue blood vessels attached, about 5 of them, I think. And it looked like somebody snipped them, like they'd been cut. And my mouth was just like yours. Oh my goodness, what is this? It was both terrifying and exciting all at the same time. I had no medical background at that point. I had no idea what had happened. I just knew, wow, my body got rid of something really bad here. I don't know how this happened. And then, people say, do you know what time did you have it tested? Are you kidding? I was so flabbergasted. It was like, get rid of this thing. So I don't know, but I'm assuming because of those blood vessels, I now know what they were. It's called angiogenesis, and it's the body's creation of blood vessels to a tumor to feed it so it will grow. And in our vegetables, I call them nature scissors or God scissors, cuts off the blood supply, cuts off angiogenesis so that they can't get that blood, the tumor can't get that blood supply. So I am assuming that that was a bad guy tumor and it had blood vessels going to it. But now, since I've gone back to school, I did all pre-med, I got my Master of Science in Whole Foods Nutrition. I learned about that and seen diagrams and know what that is. And also know I found long lists of all the different phytonutrients in different vegetables that you can juice. And why juice? Because you get a concentration of it that cut off that angiogenesis. So it's like scissors, like snipping those blood vessels. Well, I did an intensive because I wasn't eating. I was just drinking juice all day long. And when you're hungry, you just have another juice. And
Yeah.
so I had a lot of juice coming into my body. and in celery and kale and carrots. And I could just go on down the list. Get them all in your diet. That's my message. Juice up everything. You know,
Mhm.
it's not just one or two things, just juice, juice, juice,
Yeah.
and get it all in your body in a wide variety, because you're going to get all those different unique little phytonutrients that work on fighting cancer.
Mhm.
So I assumed that I was following in my mother's footsteps. She died of cancer when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I do believe with all my heart, had I not done what I did, I would not be here today. And I believe I would have died much younger than she did. She died in her early 40s. She
Mhm.
was an older mom when I was born. She's in her 30s. And
Mhm.
for then, it was older and not now. And, she was sick for a lot of her life. I inherited how she ate, which most of us do. We eat the way our family eats. And she did not like vegetables, and she loved her sweets. And she had a setup for cancer with her diet. And so I just followed right along in her footsteps in how I was going. So back to my story and the tumor and the whole thing. And I thought, I'm going to be well the next day. I mean, I got rid of this thing, and
Yeah.
we're taught in Western medicine, kill it, whatever it is, the virus, the bacteria, the cancer, just kill it and you're going to be well. So I thought, well, that I killed it. I'm going to be well tomorrow. No, I was not well the next day. I was not well for weeks. My body was detoxing. So I had some good days and I had some not so good days. And that's why I tell people, hang in there no matter how you feel. When you're doing the right thing, don't ever leave your path. You're on the path to life,
Yeah.
and it is the path that you must stay on no matter how you feel or what's going on. So I just knew in my heart, no one was telling me, except I believe God was, stick with this, don't give up. And there were days where I felt so crummy. And my dad would say to me, I think you're killing yourself on this juice diet. And I said, well, I guess I'm going to die then on carrot juice, because I have no other hope than this. But I'll tell you, 3 months into it, one morning I woke up and thought, somebody gave me a brand new body in the middle of the night. I mean, I felt like a new person, and I looked different. I mean, my skin was glowing and my eyes were shining, and I had color in my face, which I hadn't had before, and I felt good. And I thought, wow, that's the best cure on earth. Wrong word. That wasn't a cure. I mean, it was, but it had to be a lifestyle. But I called it a cure. So we
Yeah.
think of a cure as something you do to get rid of something that's making you sick, so
Mhm.
you can go on with your life the way you were living your life.
Yeah.
That's a wrong way to think about it. So I started back, creeping in the old stuff.
Mhm.
Junk food here, a little sugar here. Somebody's having a party. Okay, I'll have a little bit of their cake. Uh-oh. My old symptoms started coming back, and it scared the living daylights out of me. The one day I woke up and thought that fluish kind of hot, feverish feeling. I
Mhm.
thought, that's so disgusting. I don't ever want to feel that ever again. I lived with that for a couple of years, feeling bad like that. I thought, okay, the light bulbs are on. I can't do this. This diet of juicing and vegetables and whole foods and organic, this has got to be my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I can't go back. I'm
Yeah.
done for there. It's goodbye, old friend,
Right.
shed your tears, but say goodbye. You
Yeah.
ain't coming back in my life anymore.
Yeah.
And I struggled for years of, oh, I'm going to try a little bit of this once in a while. I couldn't get away with it. And
Mhm.
so it was a process, but I learned this is the path of life. What I'm talking about, your green smoothies, your juices, no sugar, get rid of the gluten, get rid of the dairy,
Yeah.
eat organic lean meats. If you're not vegan, if you're vegan, choose all organic.
Yeah.
Um, Ancient grains only, none of that new stuff that's hybridized GMO. We got to get all the bad stuff out, good stuff in, purified water, exercise. This is the path of life. This is the path of healing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you want, I can quickly tell the rest of my story. So I was a year well, feeling fabulous, heading back to school. I was going to complete my BA. And it was summer, and I was house sitting for some friends of the family, and three burglars broke in the middle of the night and beat me with one of them beat me with a pipe and left me for dead, beat my head, my right hand, multiple injuries all over my body. I left my body. I was traveling at what seemed like the speed of light. I was heading off.
Wow.
I could see something twinkling in the distance. I was not afraid. All of a sudden, I was back in my body. So it was not my time to leave this earth. And so neighbors found me, and I had multiple and many injuries. They told me I would never use my right hand again. It was so injured, and my knuckles were reduced to bone fragments and powder. I had multiple injuries on my head. Part of my scalp and the back was missing. I had 2 crushed discs in my neck. I had burned out adrenals like you can't even imagine, dead tired, couldn't even hardly get up off the bed. And so I knew I was in for the fight of my life, right? But I had battled once before, and I thought I can do it. I'll do it again with God's grace and help. And part of my healing is totally a miracle. Knuckles reformed through prayer. My hand is totally useful. They said I'd never use my right hand again. I've written 35 books since that time, and
Amen.
everything healed. So
Wow.
I always say to people, don't ever feel hopeless. Don't ever feel that there's no hope for you. I have great hope. My top hand surgeon of Orange County, California, just happened to be in the hospital, just happened. The
Right.
morning I was rolled on in. A couple hours after I got there, he was there, and he worked on my hand and said, I did the best job I could, but you're in really horrible shape and you'll never use that hand again. It's really, really bad.
Wow.
And so I didn't accept that as
Mhm.
totally my final answer. And I kept at it in prayer. What does God want to do for me? What is the answer? You know, we all have a purpose in our life. And what is the purpose for my life? And do I need a right hand that's fully functional for my purpose? And I did.
Excited. Like, do I need that, by the way, for what I'm here for?
Yes, exactly. And so one morning, and I'm going to end my story with this so we can get on with some details for the audience, but of what you can do. But an angel came in my room. I didn't see her, but I heard her beautiful, sweet, lovely voice at 5 a.m. saying, Cherie, look at your hand. And my removable cast that looked like something right out of Star Wars. I mean, nobody had ever seen anything like this. They had to mold things, and things were suspended. And this ring finger was almost torn off. This little finger was almost torn off my hand. It hung by a tiny little piece of skin. Thanks be to God, because if they have your finger, they can sew it back together. But it was hanging up by rubber bands on this molded thing. And I thought, I'm just right out of Star Wars. But you could take it off. So it was off. And I was moving my hand a bit, which I never could do in physical therapy. And the angel said, you will be healed, Cherie. And I was moving my hand without pain, and I could not do that at all. I almost lost my lunch. It was so painful. But then she said, you're going to go back to where you were, but you're going to get better and better and better until one day your hand is going to be completely normal, completely whole. You won't even know something happened to you. Yay, here it is.
And here, yes, I love it.
I know. I love telling this story because everything needs to come together in our healing, right? The supernatural, prayer, what we can do. And I always say, as the nutritionist and kind of a coach for many people,
Yeah.
you got to work it. You know, you got to do your part. You got to work it. There is work involved. And then there's stuff we can't ever do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the supernatural part. And that's where prayer comes in.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a
Amen.
story.
That's an awesome
Sure.
story. And it's one of those things, like, you said that the surgeon was like, you're never going to use your hand again. The fact that you did not accept that, and that you believe, like, I feel like that is like one of the major keys, is to believe that you will be healed, or to believe that there's something else better for you. Whatever it is, you have to believe that.
Yes, absolutely. And I always say if you're still here, there's a reason, right? We're
Yes.
still here. There's a destiny, there's a purpose for your life. And what do you need to fulfill that purpose? Well, we know bottom line one thing everyone needs. We need to be healthy. We need to be have wellness, wholeness. For me, I needed a hand. I was destined to write 35 books.
Yeah.
And so I needed a right hand that could function.
Mhm.
And uh, we all need our parts to function.
Yeah.
So they're for our purpose, for our destiny to fulfill what we're here on this earth to do. We need health. We need wholeness, however that looks for us. And how exciting, because it's possible. If it happened for me, it can happen for everybody who's listening. For
Yeah.
you, I'm looking right in at you, right at the camera. It can happen for you.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Which is so amazing because, okay, so yes, part of your purpose was to write these 35 books to help everyone heal, and to be healthy. Can you tell us also the story? Like, God basically told you this is what you're going to do, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll just share a little vision. It was after the attack, after I'd gotten married and was completely well. And I had a vision one day of people lying on a battlefield. Like, we're all soldiers in one sense of we fight the battle. People say I fight the good fight and whatever. And so these people were lying on the battlefield with her armor all off, and they were sick. And I saw labels like cancer or heart disease or headaches written across people. And they could not get up and they could not hold their armor, and they were not viable soldiers because they were sick.
Mhm.
And so they were at total disadvantage. It was like if you were watching Star Wars, I use that movie analogy a lot, but there are a lot of wars in there. Well, if you're lying down on the battlefield, you're going to get struck a lot more than if you're up and swinging your whatever your sword.
Mhm.
So and then I heard God say to me, I want you to teach people how to live, how to care for their bodies
Yeah.
so that they can be well, they can be whole, go back to school and get your degree so you'll be a credible source. And I did just that. And I was a humanities major. I was English and speech communication, and I had to go into the sciences, which I'd never liked. I had
Yeah.
to do chemistry just to get into the program. I had to do all this chemistry at pre-med, but you know what? It was all for a reason, because all of that has kind of come together in my thinking. And I want to just give you a little analogy of from chemistry. So I'm in this class, organic chemistry 2, right? The tough one, the final one I have to take. And you have to do all these reactions in these little test tubes, and you pour in this and you pour in this, and you don't get a drop of the wrong thing, or you wreck your reaction, you flunk or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, I don't have any idea what I'm doing, but I'm trying to learn. And I kept thinking, why did I have to take that? I mean, what good is it? One day the light bulbs came on. We are like a big test tube, biochemistry. Our body, I took about 3 classes of biochemistry. We are biochemistry. That is our body. And what went into my mind was what one professor said: don't get a drop of the bad thing when you're trying to create your reaction. Then he said, okay, see, here's your reaction now. You've created it. Now you pour a little bit of this other stuff that would be your bad stuff initially. And it just sits on top because you've already created your reaction. And my light bulbs years later went back to that class, his statement, and it came on. I thought, we're that test tube. And when we're trying to get well, we can't get a drop of the wrong thing in there. We're going to wreck that whole biochemistry thing going on, right?
Wow.
That's why when you've created this whole new wellness thing, once in a great while, you can maybe cheat a little bit and you don't wreck it.
Yeah.
But to get there, when you're on your journey to get well, you need to keep your biochemistry perfect. And I did. For those 3 months, I didn't have one speck of the wrong thing. I was so desperate. I mean, it was just vegetables and brown rice and quinoa and juices and smoothies. I mean, that was my life. I didn't even have any meat, any animal product in it all. That was it. I was so desperate to be well. And I tell people, you know, it is not worth it to cheat a little bit. I had one lovely young woman who was recovering from MS. I'd worked with her, worked with her, worked with her. She'd gotten to the place where she almost was normal. And a relative came by one day and said, oh, you've got to just try this wine. It's so good, just a little bit, just a half a glass. She said she drank that finally, and her symptoms came roaring back on the half a little glass of wine. And she said it dawned on her, nothing on earth tastes as good health. So if there's nothing else I can drill home to you today, getting well, be perfect. And then say, one day maybe I can have 1 or 2 bites of something here that's not on the program, but not until I've got that glowing, sparkling health.
Yeah.
You know, until you've achieved your goal, be perfect. And you can do it.
Wow. Wow. Those are such amazing stories. Wow. And healing stories too. Wow. We don't even think of, I mean, a lot of times we're not thinking about it. You know, we just think like, oh, it's fine. This is fine. Nothing's going to happen to me, you know.
I thought that.
Mm,
Not true. But
yeah.
you know, as you get pure food, live food into your body, and that's why I'm such a proponent of juices, vegetable juices in particular, not fruit juices. It's a lot of sugar. You can have a little green apple or some berries. I use lemon to flavor, and surprisingly, it sweetens. But you don't want a lot of fruit. You want a lot of vegetable juice. It's live food. It is life coming into your body. You feel it, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Drink a big glass of juice. The other day, I had we've moved and I'd sort of gotten off the track of, I was feeling, you know, lifting heavy boxes. I was eating protein. I was eating more eggs. They were all the good cage-free organic, all the grass, not grass, but cage-free. But I had gotten off my smoothie and juice breakfast. And when I got back onto it, I told my husband the other day, I feel like pure life has just poured back into my body. I'm starting the day with that and some raw sunflower seeds on top of my smoothie. Life. It
Yeah.
is life coming
It's
into your,
so good.
so good. You can make it yummy. And I'm doing happy hour now for my husband and I. You know what that is? It's my energy soup. I do these cute little cups of, let me give you a recipe really fast. It is so easy. It is so yummy. And I'm doing it almost every day. So you juice up about a cup to a cup and a half of carrot juice, fresh organic carrot juice.
Yeah.
And dump that in your Vitamix or your blender. You don't need a Vitamix. Blender will work. And an avocado, and at least a medium size. Um, you can even go with large if you want it really thick. And a teaspoon of cumin. I have been doing larger avocados because I love the thick one. They're really thick. It's like pudding almost. So I made one last night. That was my dinner last night. I didn't have anything else. It is so good. It is so energizing. It is so yummy. I made it as a demo at our last Juice and Raw Foods retreat that I had here in the Phoenix area in November. I made it for our group. They went nuts because it's so easy. First of all, you can juice that carrot juice in less than 5 minutes from start to finish. And I'm talking about scrubbing and chopping off the ends of the carrots, just scrubbing them. You don't have to peel them. Get that juice, dump in your blender, put in your avocado, put in your teaspoon of cumin. You've got that in 5 minutes,
Wow.
really.
I'm
And
gonna try that today because I have all of that right now.
make it. It's my energy soup. It's so good and it's nourishing and filling and yummy. And since I've been doing that, I just feel like energy's coming back into my body. Life is coming back. Sometimes we just can't juice all the time, like when you're moving and we had to drive and carpool it, so to speak, from Idaho to Arizona, and it was a long journey. And then some people travel, but when you're home or when you can get to a juice bar, get that life into your body every single day. And it is so healing. And if you have cancer, I know we're talking about the Cancer Summit and
Yeah.
what we can do to heal that juicing. No matter what else you do, whether you do keto, paleo, I know there's a lot of research on keto, but I'm very concerned about the people who go 90% fat, leave no room for vegetables. That's way too far to the other end.
Mm-hmm.
I have a group that I run online, what to eat and juice when you have cancer. And I have week 3 and 4. If people want to go keto, here's how you incorporate it with vegetable juicing and vegetables, but never cut out your vegetables because they're your cancer fighters. And you don't want just any fats. You know, that some keto people say, oh, you know, just any fat. You can have all the bacon you want. No, 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 no. All
Yeah.
animal fat. Some people were recommending butter balls, eating them. Oh, no. Oh, yes. It's like, no, no, no. Oh, the sour cream. No, you don't want sour cream. So there's some things that you've got to be concerned about when you look at, you know, what people recommend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you want only healthy fats like the avocados, coconut oil, virgin organic olive oil, and the essential fats, the fish oil. You know, those are the fats that you want in your diet, and you don't have to have humongous portions of it.
Mm-hmm.
You need humongous portions of vegetables.
Yeah.
They are your fighters, and
Yeah.
so you want those, and things that you wouldn't even suspect, like celery. Oh my, I never dreamed, you know, a little celery stick on the hors d'oeuvre tray, and we think, oh, the little humble celery doesn't offer much. Oh, it has a powerful phytochemical that really fights cancer.
People are starting to juice a lot of celery by itself now.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
popular now.
very popular. Celery juice has made its way into like mainstream thinking.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I may do my blog coming up on celery juice because it is so powerful. We don't know exactly all that's going on with celery juice and why, but my adrenals tend to be stressed just
Mm-hmm.
because with a stressful life, I try to pack in a lot into my days, and I can feel my adrenals just, it feels like they're soaking up something from celery juice.
Wow.
If you're stressed, if you're having trouble sleeping at night, which often is because of stressed out adrenals,
Mm-hmm.
you need to feed them. They need lots of vitamin C, and there's something in celery that is very, very helpful for your adrenals, along with a phytochemical that is a powerful fighter of angiogenesis, those blood vessels that grow to tumors. So,
Yes.
yeah. And celery all by itself, it does not taste good, but there's something powerful about drinking it alone. Like first thing in the morning, having a little glass of celery juice all by
I'm gonna
itself.
try that. I haven't tried just straight celery juice. I always put like an apple or something in there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna challenge myself and I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna finally try celery juice by itself.
probably a little glass. It not for how it tastes. I have to be very honest. It does not taste good, but what it does for you is really good.
It's beneficial, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we get started? Like for someone who's never juiced before, or of course afraid because they don't really eat a lot of vegetables, like they don't know what kind of juicer to buy. How do I do it? How do people get started if they've never done this before?
Okay, so first starts here. Say to yourself, I can do this.
Yes.
My mom would tell me she drove around for 2 months with a juicer in the trunk of her car. She was so afraid to even pull it out. She was going to blow it up or, do something she shouldn't. It's easy to use. Get a juicer that you will use. And you know which one is the best juicer on earth?
Which
One
one?
you'll use every day. So
I love that you said that.
there are so many sales people out there, everybody telling you theirs is the best.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I just need a sip of water.
Oh, yes. No problem.
But between the masticating and the centrifugal, the masticating juicers do preserve a little more nutrient, it is true, and you get a little more out of your vegetables than the centrifugal.
Mhm.
However, they take longer to use because none of them come with a big wide mouth, like this, that the centrifugals have the big wide mouth, so you don't have to cut everything up in little pieces, and they do juice faster.
Mhm.
So the first consideration is your time.
Mhm.
How much time do you have? Are you really in a hurry? And if your juicer is taking more time than you feel you have to give, you won't use it.
Mhm.
So I have a centrifugal juicer, and yeah, I've seen all the reports that they're not official studies. I think there was one little study, but that showed that masticating juicers did have more nutrients. I just figure I'll do a little more produce to get my extra nutrients because time is of the essence to me. So
Yeah.
I do have a Breville centrifugal. I have a 800 JXEL. I have nothing to do. I'm not selling them, so I have nothing to do with promoting them except to say that's the one I have and one I use because it's very easy to clean.
Mhm.
It's fast to clean. I clean it in a minute. All the parts that need to be cleaned are dishwasher safe. So you
Wow.
can just, if you want, rinse them off and put them in the dishwasher. And I can juice in just a few minutes.
Mhm.
So for lunch, I made a juice for my husband and I today of cucumber and celery, lemon, and ginger. And I had it done in about 3 minutes. It
Wow.
was so fast and easy. Here's another little tip for cleanup in the pulp catcher. Put a baggie, free one that you get from the grocery store, from the produce section. Put that in there, and when you're done, you just lift that out, and you can whatever you want. You can
That's a
do
really
something
good
with the
idea.
pulp, compost, or throw it away.
Yeah.
You don't have to wash that. So that's another little tip. And um, other than that, to make it easy for you, get some recipes that you'll like. So I have tons of books from the Big Book of Juices and Green Smoothies to the Living Food Revolution to the Inflammation Diet. And souping is the new juicing. I have blended things in there and cold soups and raw soups and I have a fasting book as well on the juice fast, and then I'm juicing, fasting, and detoxing for life. So I have a lot of books with recipes to get you started. But that's the other thing people told me. They thought, oh, I can just do this on my own, and they've gotten some concoctions that tasted awful, and then they thought I'm never doing this again, like too much ginger, or they had too many greens without something to balance the greens, and it
Yeah.
was just too much for their palate, and they didn't ease into it. They didn't know how much apple to put in, how much is too much apple, how much is not enough, or green apple, or a lemon, and so and ginger, how much ginger. So get some good recipes. That's the other thing. And then just tell yourself you can do this and you will.
Yes. Wow. Well, thank you for that, for sharing that information. I know it's very helpful because a lot of people are intimidated by juicing.
Yes,
So yeah, it's definitely a mindset for sure.
it is. And just saying, I can do this. I know I can. And I can make time for it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I know that you have some success stories with people who have had cancer and no longer have cancer, and that you also have like this amazing cancer program. Can you tell us about that?
I would love to. Some very exciting stories. One of the most, I think, powerful and dramatic stories. I had a woman that um, bought my book when she was given up for no hope to live.
Hmm.
And they just said, get your affairs in order. She had tumors throughout her body from head to toe almost, liver and brain and several other parts of her body. And she went on a 3-week vegetable juice fast because she was desperate. And in the third week, she said suddenly she felt this ripping sensation, terrible pain. It went all down her right side. It felt like something was ripping and tearing in her body. And all of a sudden, a big tumor just fell out of her body and totally
Like
scared her.
she out of her bum?
I don't know, but fell out. And from that moment, she got well. I mean, she got better and better and better until she was totally well.
This is okay. From you to other people I know, hearing their stories, like it's not that uncommon, really, especially when you're really taking care of yourself, like juicing and really cleaning out your system. It's not uncommon for like tumors to come out of your body. Like
Right.
I'm hearing more and more stories about this happening.
Yes, it is very exciting. Very exciting. Um, I have two more stories I want to tell, and this is the power of juice fasting. We had a young woman that came on scholarship to our retreat this last fall, all the way from New Zealand. She had two brain tumors, and she had done quite a bit of juice fasting and then water fasting before she came. And she'd gotten my book. And the last appointment, just before she came, they discovered that the the sacs of the tumors were still in her brain, but they were empty. Is that interesting? The cancer part of the tumors were gone, but the sacs were still there. So at the retreat, she was saying, I'm hoping that now I can get rid of those, but they weren't doing harm to her. It was not like harmful thing, but they were still there. The outer sac that held them. So
I can
exciting.
see the visual of what that would look like. So I'm just like, the body
I
is the body is just like, it just blows my mind every time like I hear something new, or like that's amazing, you know?
Yes. Well, I have seen empty sacs. My body expelled three of them, and I think uh, they were in the vaginal area. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I know they were, and so I saw three deflated sacs that my body expelled, and my naturopathic doctor said she'd heard of that before.
Yeah.
So your body just clears out what it needs to, and then sloughs off the rest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's certainly not for everybody, but it has happened because my naturopath said she'd heard of that. Other people had had that happen. I want to tell one more story. We had a lady that came to one of our retreats, and our retreats are 5 days, and we do 3 days of vegetable juice fasting in the middle of it. We start with raw foods and end with gourmet raw foods at both ends of the retreat.
Wow.
And so she came with 7 tumors in her body, in different parts of her body, and went home and back to her doctor, and they were 70% shrunk down.
3 to 5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
Mm-hmm. But then she continued on with the program after the retreat. And I never did hear how many days after the retreat she finally went to the doctor for evaluation, but 70% shrunk. Pretty amazing.
That is so amazing. And the power of vegetables and fruit, just a whole foods diet, like you said. I remember when I was diagnosed, and my naturopath, she's like, okay, I want you to eat at least 9 cups of vegetables a day. And it wasn't hard for me because at that time I was eating a lot of stuff, but I'm counting, okay, I think this is a cup, or I'm putting it in a cup, like, but
Yes.
the power of that, because some people they don't know about it, or they're just not thinking about it, or again, they have their nose up to it, like, I don't know if I can do that. But the
That
power of that.
it's so powerful. And that's where juicing and blending comes in, because sometimes it's hard to eat
Yeah.
that many cups of vegetables.
Yeah.
But if you can juice them, well, you can definitely get it in. You
Yeah.
can and I tell people that have cancer, and in my program, what to eat and juice when you have cancer, you need to have at least 3 glasses of
Yeah.
vegetable juice a day. I
Yeah.
recommend more, but that would be your minimum.
Yeah.
I have one more story I just want to tell, because this kind of brings another point home. I have a lady right now in my group and in the cancer program, and she started feeling worse on the program.
Mm-hmm.
The area of her body that had the tumor became more sore. It seemed like the tumor swelled up. Um, it got a little scary because she felt like she was getting worse. And I told her, hang in there because I've heard this many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
When people start doing the right thing, they often feel worse before they feel better.
Yeah.
And I had another woman with a tumor, I think it was in her throat, and it swelled up quite a bit and was very scary for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then it shrunk, 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 and then finally went away. So be aware that this is a different type of approach than Western medicine, which is all about kill it, kill it, kill it. And you're going to see progress, progress right from the beginning, the way you think it ought to be. But when you're healing, it seems to go in a different direction many times. Not for everybody, but I've heard this story over and over again of, oh my, it seems like I'm getting worse. Like, and I hear about swelling up a lot. Like it seems like this thing is growing, not shrinking.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the turnaround comes, and then you start seeing very encouraging signs. Like the lady in my group now is feeling really good,
Really
like
good.
so much better.
Wow.
Hang in there. I always say, just hang in there. Stay with the process because you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong on your vegetables and vegetable juices.
Exactly. You can't go wrong at all. Well, thank you again so much, Cherie. Is there anything else that you would like to say? Any last remarks?
I do. I say this a lot to people. You've heard all these things that sound in some ways pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the medical model of we're going to give you this drug, or we're going to give you this, or do this for you, or do a surgery. Or you got to try it, because my line is, you'll never know how good you can feel or what this can do until you give it a try. And so you just got to give it a try.
I love it.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us today.